Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Jack here, and I'm coming at you with another video. Today, the video's topic is going to be the biggest snubs of the All-Star game using advanced metrics. So we're going to talk about, in my opinion, top 5 biggest snubs for the All-Star game, and 2 players who, in my opinion, shouldn't have been part of the Midsummer Classic. So in terms of future content, I'm going to be doing a contenders or pretenders video with somebody in the near future. I'm just going to talk about the standings first off, and then kind of talk about which teams are serious contenders and which teams aren't, particularly the teams that have been surprising this year, like Red Sox, Giants, I guess the Rays, not to me, White Sox, teams like that, you know what I mean? So that'll be coming up soon. Probably do little something on the draft, but I haven't been doing too much research on it. I've just been following the MLB regularly. But I have a friend who knows a lot about the draft, so maybe we'll have him on. And then, yeah, I think that's it, really. But anyways, let's get right into it. Okay, so at number 5, again, this top 5 list, the order is kind of arbitrary. I also have some honorary mentions, but at number 5, I have Emmanuel Clase. So Emmanuel Clase, his numbers, he has, going into the selection Sunday, he was 3-2 with a 1.51 ERA, 2.11 FIP, and the most remarkable stat here is he had a 1% barrel percentage. So what that means is that basically, most of the contact against him isn't like clean contact. It's very like, a lot of choppers, no one's really squaring the ball up. 1% of the time, the ball is being completely, not squared up, but, pretty well squared when facing him. Of course, if you know baseball, you know this guy. He has a 101 mile per hour cutter, just throws absolute gas, nasty stuff. So yeah, I thought he was totally snubbed. Really disappointed. Wanted to see him in the All-Star game. I also wanted him to get another card in MLB The Show, because I would just use him all the time. I think it's so fun to play with him. Just throw 102 cutter. Honestly, just to speak on it, I don't think Gregory Soto should have been the All-Star from the Tigers. He's had a decent season. I thought Mize was going to be the pick. Me and my dad were both convinced of that. Because Mize it was interesting. I looked at his stats. Mize is 5-5 with a 3.55, but his FIP is terrible. It's a 4.74 or something. His FIP is really bad. So he's gotten really lucky this season. You also could have went with Scope, but he's had a good season, not an all-star season. It clearly would have been a reach. So anyways, I thought Clase got snubbed. Next up, we have Walker Buehler. Really disappointed this guy didn't make it to the All-Star game. He's probably my favorite pitcher to watch. Just so incredibly dominant. And an example of his dominance, he won 22 straight starts without a decision of a loss. So it was either no decision or a win, which is just incredible. And it just shows how dominant he is. He was 8-1 with a 2.49 ERA. The reason why I don't have him higher is because his FIP is a 3.77 or something like that. So the advanced metrics do show that he's gotten a little lucky this year. But still, he's had a remarkable season. Definitely all-star caliber, and really too bad he's not in the All-Star game. At number 3, I have Taijuan Walker. Well-known all-star snub here. 7-3, 2.44 ERA, 3.07 FIP. So within reason, he's come on, man. If you've watched the Mets, you've been following the Mets, this man they've had so many injuries, so many guys go down. Luke Casey, Syndergaard's been out for a while. This team has just taken hits after hits after hits, and this guy has just been number one, if they had a breakout player of the year award, it should be him. He's been in the league for like 7 years. This is the best season he's had. He's just incredibly dominant. And you know, the Mets, man, they got the big three now with DeGrom, Stroman, and Tawana Walker. They got 3 elite starters, and you know what that means on my podcast. The chance to win the World Series. Totally believe that. So he's just been incredible, and it's really disappointing he wasn't an all-star. You know, really too bad. In terms of guys who he could have replaced, let me go to the pictures again. You know, I'm looking at it. You have to take Marquez, right? Because the Herman Marquez from the Rockies, right? Because the Rockies need an all-star. The Marlins, now this is where it gets interesting for me. Number 2 on my list, I have Starlin Marte. I really thought he should have been the all-star for the Marlins. He had a great season. The main thing that's so unsung about Marte is he had a +5.8 defensive WAR, which means he's had a really good defensive season, and I don't think a lot of people recognize that. He's a 4 DRS. He's saved pretty much 4 runs, and a 135 WRC plus. He's had a really good season offensively. His average has dropped a little bit lately, but yeah, he only has 6 home runs. But you know, Marlins Park sucks hitting there, by the way. But 135 WRC plus really good defense. I totally thought he should have been an all-star. So if you have him as an all-star, right, for the Marlins all-star, then you can fit Walker in there, and you don't have to make Trevor Rogers an all-star. But Trevor Rogers has also had an incredible season, so it's really tough. I don't really know what to say. But it just shows, like, to be an all-star, you got to be elite of the elite. Now, here's what's really interesting for me is Mookie Betts was an all-star. I mean, look, this guy's one of my favorite players, but are you kidding me? Like, you got to be serious. He's hitting .247 with like 10 or 11 home runs. He has not been good this season at all. Like, he's had the most mediocre season of all time, and he's an all-star. I hate how, like, the all-star game should be the best players that have had the best seasons going there. And right, I said the best players. Yes, Mookie Betts is a top 5 player in our game. He hasn't had a good season, so he doesn't deserve to go to the all-star game. Simple as that. We can't make this into, like, the Pro Bowl where, like, you know, no matter what season, like Xavier Rhodes or Jalen Ramsey has, he's just automatically going to the Pro Bowl. Like, you can't do that, because then going to the Pro Bowl means nothing. And obviously that's not the same with the All-Star, but we can't make it into a popularity contest, because that's just wrong. Mookie Betts has not had an All-Star season, not even close. And the most interesting thing about Betts, yeah, he's had a terrible offensive season, but everyone in the Twitter comments is like, oh, well, you know, he's been really good defensively. So Marte had a +5.8 defensive rating on Fangraphs, which means that he's been a really good plus defender. Mookie Betts was -0.8. So he hasn't even really had that good of a defensive season either. So just totally non-deserving. I have no idea why Mookie Betts is an all-star. So that was really disappointing. So yeah, number 2 on my list, I had Marte. And then the number 1 all-star game snub, I had Chris Bassett. This guy has just been an absolute beast. And I cannot believe he is an all-star. He isn't an all-star. And I can totally explain why. But anyways, 9-2, 3.41 ERA, 3.42 FIP. So he hasn't, you know, gotten lucky at all. His ERA isn't lower than like his FIP is right where his ERA is, which I think is really interesting. Chris Bassett is such a doghound. Like, that's a terrible adjective, but he's a bulldog. I mean, he will eat up so many innings. He gives up maybe 2 runs at the most. You know, in his recent past starts, absolutely dominated versus the Rangers in his last start. And he wasn't an all-star. The A's have had, Montas hasn't had a good season. Luzardo is injured. They've really taken some hits to their pitching staff, and Chris Bassett has just been this anchor for them, and he's the reason why they still have a chance to win the AL West. And the reason he isn't an All-Star is because of Shane Bieber. You know, I was going to argue Evaldi, but Evaldi has like a 2.41 FIP. It's really, you know, it's incredible. I mean, Evaldi's ERA is like a 3.45 or something like that, and he's like a 2.7 FIP. So Evaldi has gotten very unlucky actually this season, and his ERA should be a lot lower at that. I'm not gonna say Garrett Cole shouldn't be an All-Star. He's had an incredible season, and he's the second best pitcher in our game probably, in my opinion. Kyle Gibson, he's had a fantastic season, so he totally deserves to be an All-Star, and I'm happy, you know, the league gave him that nod because he's been, I mean, he leads the league in ERA this year, and he's just been really dominant, and he's just so calm and poised on the mound. Kikuchi, you know, okay, you need the Mariners All-Star, so okay, I see that. And then Rodon and Lynn, you know, I'm not really going to criticize that. They both have really good seasons, and they're both a reason why the White Sox are in first place. But Shane Bieber should not be an All-Star. I think he, first off, he hasn't pitched since June 10th. So he doesn't have nearly as many innings as Bassett. He has let me go to his ERA. He has like a 3.28 ERA. He has really good numbers, but I don't think he's pitched enough. And this is totally just because he won the Cy Young last year, and they're trying to like establish him as like one of the league's best pitchers. I guess he probably is, but he should not be an All-Star. I think this is ridiculous. And the two guys that should have been, I think that Bassett and Tyler Glasnow, an honorable mention, definitely should have been All-Stars instead of Bieber. So really disappointing. And then last but not least, another honorable mention is of course Max Scherzer. He got robbed too. But there are only so many spots on the All-Star team, and I like that they have an All-Star from every team. I really like that rule, and I think they should continue it. So, you know, because it's just stupid if it's just like all like Dodgers or like, you know, Padres. I think every team should have an All-Star. I really like that rule. And, you know, sometimes that kind of screws guys over, like Scherzer, and some of the guys we're talking about here. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Really appreciate it, and more content is on the way soon. Thank you.